Hey, I don't know if I'm alone yet. No, I guess there are 3 people. Hope you guys are doing well. I have never used the Facebook live chat before. I'm not sure if my mic is working. And anybody hear me? Test, test. Huh. Is the sound level okay, Danny? Hey, guys. Welcome back to you. Thanks. I don't know how to pronounce your name. We'll call you Dragon Lord. Thanks, Dragon Lord. Yeah, I'm using you. This is actually a YouTube stream, Danny, although we're down to only 1 viewer now. I'm going to wait a few minutes here since it's not actually 9:45 yet to actually talk about anything, but hope you guys are all doing well. I am still awake, shockingly, but and I'm going to finish eating my birthday cake. Whoops. On camera. I need to get some more light in here for the future. I'm going to try to have the Kickstarter page up at the same time with the comments thread. Thanks, Danny. I definitely feel older today. I won't say how much older. Responding to a few comments. Anyway, once we get going, I'm going to try to keep this as a Q&A. I don't know what these buttons are for. Oh, sharing. I was kind of hoping that there was a screen sharing capability with this YouTube live streaming thing, but I think there is not. I'm hoping I get some rest tonight. I'm not sure if that's in the cards or not. One thing about Kickstarter, at least for me anyway, it's very high anxiety endeavor. I suppose if we had funded in the first couple of hours, as I kind of hoped we might, although I really didn't get the word out early enough for that, I think, but that I would feel a little bit better. But I think we're going to get there, hopefully. I'm being told not to frown, but that's my normal face. In fact, I think last time around, thanks, Joe Girl. I think during the last campaign, I live streamed a lot. I don't know if other Kickstarter creators live stream that much, but I probably will live stream like most nights during the campaign, except while I'm at Gen Con. And even maybe then. But yeah, I was often told that I frown too much. I make funny eye movements. I touch my face, all of that. I'm just being me. I'm not a TV star. I'm a board game maker. And yeah. Hey, Sushi. Welcome. Yeah, I think it's doing all right. I mean, I really hope that we can, smash this out of the ballpark eventually, because I think this game really deserves it. For all the board games out there, of course, it's me talking, the designer here, but there's so many board games out there that are like all the other board games out there, or just another worker placement, or just another whatever with a new theme. Quodd Heroes is literally nothing like anything else out there. I mean, Robo Rally is a very it's not really a good comparison. I mean, it's grid movement, and there are board elements, but outside of that, the game really isn't the same. As Sam Healy and Tom Bassel and many other reviewers said, this is a Robo Rally crusher, which is kind of flattering since Richard Garfield designed Robo Rally, and he's amazing, obviously. I'm a big Magic fan. Yeah, so from first to second edition, there is a significant number of changes, but like to sort of ballpark describe it, the idea was to create basically a tighter experience, streamline a lot of things that could be streamlined. Like the player boards are much simpler. The upgrade system is much easier to understand. Each hero has now thematic Q power, or sort of crystal powers, which tie into the character themselves, and each is very unique compared to all of the other heroes, which was the intention actually first time around. With the hero powers, or the crystals were supposed to be part of the power system. It just, for whatever reason, just didn't happen. And we stumbled upon this using crystals, collecting the crystals in the scenarios to give you powers. And then it also creates a new sort of dynamic where people are stealing crystals from each other, to gain their own powers or whatever. So it adds a whole new dynamic. So the crystal powers, now the Q as well. One of the things that I found regarding first edition is that activating your Q is something you almost never did in a lot of situations, and that was never the intention. It just ended up being that way for any number of reasons, especially when you're playing against other players or you're playing against the clock. When you activate your Q, often you're basically giving up your turn, and there are situations where that works out. You need to rearrange your tiles in first edition, that sort of thing. But I wanted the Q to be something you wanted to do, and for it to be strategic and really impactful in the game. And I think the new system really does that. You activate your Q and something seriously cool is going to happen. And the neat thing is that there's kind of two sides to a lot of the Q. Like each player has two Q powers. When you activate your Q now, for the first time you choose one of the sides of the Q power tile, and then you place it on your board, and then you activate it. Oftentimes, those Q powers can have sort of beneficial effect to the players around you, or they can be just about, slowing down your opponent. So those choices make it interesting, especially in co-op games like Capture the Crystal or Sheep Soccer and other things or team-based games where you're sort of making a choice between helping the people around you and yourself, or sort of hindering your opponent. So that dynamic is in there now, which I think makes things really cool. And I think Danny will agree with me, because he and I played quite a bit on Tabletop Simulator together, which he created, by the way. And what I was going to say is that each of the heroes now plays, even though they start with the same movement tiles, each hero plays very differently. And that's, I mean, that was the case before, but this time it's, I think, far more thematic and interesting and balanced. I mean, post-campaign, we still will be sort of fine-tuning the numbers on some of those skill tiles and making sure all of the hero powers and crystal powers are balanced between players. But I think it's already in a pretty good place. And I hope that you guys will all hop on Tabletop Simulator, at least to watch over the next little while. And I'll be live streaming games with, backers and with Danny, hopefully, over the next 4 weeks. So this is a very long-winded answer to your question, but yeah, so sort of gameplay balance stuff. The other real issue that people brought up last time was setup time was really too long. There was no organizer in the box, and so many components in first edition, like hundreds of tokens, many of which basically are never used in games or only used very rarely in, say, solo or co-op mode. So this time we've sort of boiled the token pool and the components down to what people are going to use. So there's nothing really extra in the box that's not useful. And by having a scenario book with fold-out maps, it means you're not looking for boards. You're not having to set up a bunch of tokens on the board for a custom scenario. You just open it up, and you have to put a handful of tokens on the board, which are shown in a mini map in the corner. So setup is literally minutes, like just a couple of minutes instead of maybe 20 to try to find everything you need. So I wanted people, because we want to go to retail with this, I wanted people to be able to open this game and play it really quickly. And then when they're done that game, to just play it again. I mean, that's what every game designer wants from their game. And last time around, I was kind of focusing on making this amazing sandbox tool that's super modular, hoping that everyone would want to create a lot of their own scenarios. But really, that didn't boil out. Like, I think a small number of people wanted to create scenarios, but most people just want to play a game. They don't want to have to make their own stuff. So while this is still a sandbox system, it's far more sort of friendly to people who just want to play. So that was a major difference as well. And the fact that we're going to have a injection molded plastic insert in the box to keep things organized, including the smaller trays that have the commonly used tokens that you can place on the table. All of that stuff means the game is just going to play better. I also think that the hero cubes as a reference is a great step in the right direction. Even in the retail edition, where it used 2 cubes, one on the board, as you'll see in the Tabletop Simulator module, which uses little hero cubes, they work great. And you technically don't even need minis when you're using those things, so it's pretty great. I think that pretty much wraps up most of the changes for second edition. There's a whole bunch of other sort of quality of life stuff and other things that we can go into, but I'll try to step back a little bit and read some of the other questions if there are any. Thanks, Walter, for backing. Actually, I think, unless I'm mistaken, I saw your order on the Quodd Heroes website, Wonderment Games site, for first edition the other day. Thank you for that. Unless I've mistaken you for someone else. Your game should ship out in the next couple of days. If it hasn't already, I think Tuesday is the shipping day for Quartermaster. They handle the processing of orders on the website. Oh, yeah, event deck. Yeah, sorry, Danny mentions the event deck. I'll mention the Painted Heroes as well. I have a couple of samples on my desk here. Yeah, so one of the things other things that people some people took issue with in first edition was the event deck. A lot of people complained that it added too much chaos to games where you could just lose to the game, or some effects like the card that Tom Vassell actually tore up as part of his review for first edition, at which he actually liked the game quite a bit. We did a few different promos for Quodd Heroes for the Dice Tower over the last few years. So they appreciate the game, but he did not like that card. And when he first posted that review, I had a bunch of messages right away saying, "Oh my God, Tom Vassal just tore up a card of your game in the middle of his review," and I just laughed, because I mean that's sort of one of those kinds of cards that could be very polarizing. And so what we've done with the event deck this time, we've actually changed the whole way the upgrade system works, the upgrade and the upkeep. There's no sort of end of round. We're not even tracking rounds anymore. We just go around the table, and each turn, at the end of every player's turn, you're going to draw a card from the event deck. Some percentage of those event cards have what we call triggers on them. When a trigger happens, board elements move if there are any, things like sheep and bombs, and then you upgrade. So similar to the end of round effects before, but this time the event cards tend to be mostly friendly, we'll say. There are some things that can mess you up, but not too bad. And many of the effects, like say like a wind effect that we had before, we'll say roll a directional die and slide in X directions. They're either may or choose one or the other kind of thing. So for the most part, the event deck's not going to hurt you too bad, and they affect everybody, by the way. So if there's an upgrade, everyone upgrades, which makes it kind of interesting. And from game to game, you're not necessarily going to upgrade the same number of times, whereas in the previous edition, you would. At the end of every round, everybody's going to upgrade. The problem with that, and with the way the system worked before, those things all compounded to slow the game down. And with the help of Rustin Hawkinson, another game designer, who sort of helped me with trying to rethink how I think about the game, he really stressed the importance of flow and making sure that the game moves quickly. And if anybody has ever played Quodd Heroes before, one of the things you'll know is that with some people, AP can be an issue, right? Because you've got this little cubic puzzle in your hand, and you have to choose which side you want to activate. And then if it has tumble on that side, you're going to get to tumble again, and then activate another thing. So it can be, for some players, a bit of a thinky puzzle. I still always recommend that when people play this game, they don't think too hard, because oftentimes just winging it and trying to maximize your movement distance is the best way to go. I kind of always do that, unless it's a hypercritical moment, like last turn of the game, somebody's about to win. I do pretty well just playing off the cuff, but then again, I've played many hundreds of times. But yeah, so I wanted to make sure that the turns flowed better, and that is one of the ways we've done it, is with the new event deck. One of the other things I wanted to bring up, what was it? Oh, items and pets. So in the past, we had items and pets in the exploration deck. So those of you who are not familiar with Quodd Heroes, there's a deck of cards at the end of your turn. You explore, which means draw cards from that deck equal to a number that's on your movement tile that you activated that turn. In the past, there were items and pets along with food and runes and utility cards. Now we've taken the items and pets out of that deck and given them their own deck. And at the start of every game, each player is dealt 3 items and 3 pets, and you essentially choose one of each to put into play within some limits, because there are power level fluctuations. So there's little power level numbers on the bottom of the card, and your total power level between your item and your pet can't exceed 5 points. But for the most part, you can always get 2 of them. Or if you get one really powerful one, you don't really need the other one. And there are also ways to get them during the game and swap them out, that kind of thing. But starting the game with an item and a pet is like game changing, literally. And it adds so much sort of fun and thematic flavor to how you play. It can sort of change the way you approach the game right from turn 1, which is really fun. It's like setting a strategy, and which can be altered, as I say. You can swap out the items and pets throughout the game. I haven't even seen platformers by Awaken Realms. That's interesting. I had no idea that that existed. I'll have to check that out. If I'm missing any questions, please remind me. Just see Sushi's question. Will using first edition with the upgrade pack play as good as using second edition despite not having the painted minis? Yeah, it will play just as well. The only difference is your minis won't be painted. There are some really quick and easy solutions to painting these guys. I actually had a sample of my previous minis where I actually did a few in quick washes. So you just take like a acrylic paint of any kind, really. Make sure your mini's clean. Make it pretty watery, and then just brush color onto the mini. And it doesn't have to be thick or heavy, but it actually looks really good. And it's a quick way to sort of differentiate the sides of your hero. And it works pretty well. But I'm a believer that really you still can play this with unpainted minis. Some people say, oh, it's impossible to tell the sides apart, that kind of thing. I kind of say hogwash to that. I mean, they're ink washed, right? And that brings out the detail. It's not as easy as playing with painted minis, but I think it's fully playable. I've done it at conventions for years. So it's doable, but we did want to go painted minis the first time around. It just wasn't in the budget. It was our first project. For whatever reason, it didn't work out, and I'm glad we can this time. Unfortunately, not being able to offer like a full set of painted minis to people who are first edition backers is unfortunate. I wish I could, but unfortunately, like, it would just undermine the entire nature of the campaign this time. And I don't want people to just be able to buy the game by going upgrade pack set of minis and not bother backing the full game. Of course, they would miss out on the crystals and they would miss out on the bombs and a lot of other things, but the game would still technically be playable. In some of the comments on the Kickstarter page tonight, I did notice that people are asking, well, what about buying a set of reference cubes or hero cubes? And I think that's probably a possibility. I will look into that probably during the Pledge Manager as an option. Yeah, so Walter, regarding your just like playing first edition, so there are actually some print and play files so that you can kind of integrate second edition like right now, but you'd have to sort of print out the player boards and all that stuff. But that print and play that's currently sort of floating out there isn't super up to date. I will make that up to date likely before the end of the campaign to at least get it so that people can play the current iteration of second edition files, at least a subset of it. I agree, Danny. The starting pets and items are a super fun part of the start of the game. Yeah, there are the. Oh, talk about the crate. Yeah, I've got it here behind me. I didn't see that, but yeah, I will show you guys that momentarily after I read what you just said there. Yeah, so the sheep and bombs are the same in second edition that they were in the first. The only difference is that the sheep are painted this time around. I don't even have a set of painted sheep here, and lots of backers have painted their sheep and posted pictures online and stuff, and that was kind of what inspired me to make sure that happened this time around, because they're amazing. I mean, the sheep were kind of a mascot of the first edition campaign. Like, everybody wanted sheep miniatures in the first campaign, and it came down to the last few hours, I think, of the last campaign that was unlocked, and it was kind of a celebratory moment for everybody, because really, as a hallmark to what that first campaign was like, we were basically creating the game as part of the Kickstarter, which, you know, is kind of the story about what Kickstarter is supposed to be. It's supposed to be about creating something, not bringing a finished product to the market and just using Kickstarter as a pre-sale thing. But I kind of did that to a huge degree in first edition, and I think it shot me in the foot just financially, because our costs ended up way exceeding our initial quote at the start, so profit margins were pretty low by the end. but that did result in sheep miniatures. It resulted in the solo play and co-op play, which really wasn't part of my initial plans. I mean, I was planning on doing an expansion later with that stuff, but it wasn't going to be part of the first edition campaign. But I blew through the stretch goals that I had planned so quickly and just added stuff, perhaps a little too frequently. This time we're not really going to do stretch goals. That could change if things really ramp up in terms of funding. Just things like, say, additional scenarios or quality of life stuff or component upgrades beyond what we've already got. But we're pretty much at the top tier of what component quality can be anyway. But there's always some room for something if things go well. But I think the game is complete. I don't want to add more stuff just for the sake of it. Yeah, that is, like, I still am impressed myself with Quodd Heroes as a game system for how you can literally just create a scenario on the fly, even without a lot of experience as a game designer, and it's probably going to be fun. I mean, the core of, and it's interesting actually, because if you look at the Quodd Heroes Kickstarter video that I finally posted earlier this evening, there's not very much in there about gameplay, and that's really, I wish I had more time to do that. Perhaps as the campaign goes on, I'll continue to work on that video. But just in terms of saying what the scenarios are, for example, in my opinion, what the scenario is less important than what the gameplay is, because the fun in Quodd Heroes isn't necessarily specifically about what you're doing in the scenario, but how you get there. And how you get there is the journey of what makes Quodd Heroes Quodd Heroes. It's about jumping around, it's pushing your friends and solving this little puzzle, and laughing. Like, one of the things that was my goal as a designer when making this game, right from the very beginning, was I hate runaway leader. I hate the idea of, I'm playing a game and after 2 turns, it's going to last you say a 15-turn game, I don't have any chance to win. Like, that turns me into a grumpy person instantaneously, and I just don't want to play anymore. And I don't want people to feel that way. So even if you don't win Quodd Heroes, I mean, sometimes it can be a bummer if you think you're going to win and right at the last second somebody beats you. But usually when that happens, it's hilarious, or it's epic, and you just have to cheer. And that is probably my favorite thing about this game, is that even when you lose, you're most likely having a blast. And yeah, anyway, so we'll talk about the crate. Well, with solo, Walter, AP is kind of necessary because the scenarios tend to be pretty challenging, and you have to be able to think quickly because your options are always changing, essentially. So, but again, like, that's what makes this as a solo game so interesting, that it's an ever-changing puzzle, even within the sort of fixed puzzle. Anyway, this is the crate, or our very first and only existing prototype. Actually, there is another prototype sitting at Laserox in Hungary, which eventually they'll send us one of their prototypes. But anyway, my good friend Frank Carr, amazing creator. He can literally build anything from a robot to a wooden box. And also a pretty good software developer and professional videographer, all kinds of things. A true Renaissance man. Anyway, I approached him a few years back when I was first hoping to launch the second edition Kickstarter, thinking that I want to have something really epic to offer as an add-on for Quodd Heroes. And we started discussing this box, and I said I kind of want the box to look like the card with the Q on the front and the blue crystal. It's the same as the card back for the exploration deck. And other than that, I didn't really give him any direction. He asked a lot of questions, and sort of he had already designed the wood insert, which I have inside my copy of first edition back there. So he had that as a starting point, because we wanted to try to reuse some of those components to fit inside this box as the sort of pull-out storage solutions. Yeah, I mean, I really hope it gets more success. I mean, one of the problems I have as like I'm kind of a do everything sort of guy. I have a hard time getting other people to help me. So I do all of the graphics, all of the animation, like all of everything for the campaign. I kind of put my head down and I focus on one thing, and then I forget, hey, I probably should be doing some pre-marketing for this, and talking to influencers and all of that stuff to try to get the word out early. And I didn't do that, unfortunately. I was so focused on trying to make sure that I launched on a specific day today that I didn't have enough time to do the promotion that I need to do. I'm going to probably run some Facebook ads, and I'll reach out to some influencers that I'm familiar with over the next few days to see if we can get a little boost going. But anyway, let's look at the box. So the first thing you'll notice is we have these like leather handles on the side. These may change for the final thing. They're actually quite sturdy. That's like, rawhide leather, but like I wouldn't want to, carry this around for hours with these straps. It's really just to sort of get it, take it off your shelf, put it on the table, that kind of thing. I mean, this thing is heavy once you get the game inside of it. Once you get the game with the walls and all of that, it's going to be even heavier. So it's probably not something you're going to want to bring out to your local game store to play the game. Even though it is, quite durable and sturdy, you don't want to damage it. Anyway, so the cool thing is it's got this sort of locking mechanism on the door. You turn the Q. It looks backwards on my screen. I don't know if it is for you guys. And then you just open it up, and you can see on the back of the door, it's got this clever locking mechanism. And, it's really neat crystal thing. So the first edition player boards just have a little wrap thing, and you just slot them inside here. Whoops. But for second edition, that won't be necessary if you won't need these anymore once you get second edition. So they can go. The 9 double-sided player boards, actually 12 double-sided player boards, because this also holds the Fringe Underground expansion. So they slide in the side here, along with the scenario book and rule book. Actually, and the Fringe Underground expansion is in there as well. You can see there's a little slot there. And then we have all these little drawers here that hold different the different elements. So this bottom drawer has a little, and there's sort of extra space in a lot of these spots. This is a little holder for the buddy cards from first edition. So yeah, all of these little elements also, this is the tray for the secret tokens for first edition. There's actually a lid for this. I must have misplaced mine, but it's not really necessary in this box. But for just the insert, it has an actual, whoops. It has a lid that covers this. Oh, damn. So I had this nicely organized, but this does let you, and you can see now that I took this out, there are actually labels that tell you what tokens go in which spot. It just makes setup so much faster for the first edition scenarios to have quick access and visibility to all of that stuff. So these other two drawers here on the bottom, again, these have little leather pull tabs. Nice little touch. Individual hero trays. So these will fit second edition, hero cubes and hero miniatures, and the upgrade tiles as well. And some second edition heroes have tokens that go with them. So they're the same size as a standard token like this. So each hero still will have a little token like this, which I'm playing with it, but you guys can't see it. So these hero holders have the 2 heroes. It has the slot for the hero token for tracking things like races and that kind of thing. These are first edition upgrade tiles and skill tiles, but we only have skill tiles this time around, no upgrade tiles, but there's room to keep your other tokens on the other side of this in second edition. So even though we only have 11 heroes, there's room for 12 heroes in this box. Oops, I gotta put the other drawer back. Yeah, so there's 2 drawers like this, an extra holder. It's empty. Sorry if I'm not responding here. This is the card drawer. So we've got, you know, dividers for the different decks, and there's a little spacer here at the back. You know, so you can add more cards, but this keeps them upright for now. So this top drawer here has the other token trays for first edition. So the thing with Quodd Heroes first edition is that it actually makes sense to own first edition and second edition, especially if you have any intention of creating your own scenarios, because there's a lot of really fun tokens in here that aid in the creation of new game types and custom scenarios. So having these really cool trays with labels for all of the tokens for both the core game for Quodd Heroes first edition, as well as trays for space for the tokens from the Fringe Underground expansion. So yeah, there's also room in the back of this for more stuff. I think I dropped something back here. Anyway, yeah, it's not closing. This little top box has the bomb dice, sheep minis, and the crystals in it. And here's our dice tower tray. So this little dice tower comes out and just goes like that. This is actually a slightly different dice tower than the one that comes in the base game because it's longer. Basically, it gives you more space to roll the dice. So the Quodd Heroes base game only comes with 2 dice, so like a D6 and a D8. But in first edition, there was we still have some, I believe, in North America as an add-on. I haven't actually added the graphic yet. I need to do that tomorrow for the dice add-on. It just gives you more sets of dice for players. Not necessary, but if there's enough demand, I'll just basically reprint that dice add-on if people want it. And then so in this tray right here, we've got these temporary wood. These are supposed to represent the walls. They're the right dimensions of all of the wall add-ons. So you can see if all of the walls fit in here. These are the extra movable platform and extra bits from first edition. They fit in there, and there's a little sort of through path for the longer boards to fit. And more token storage. So these are the used in every game tokens. Little tray that has like the tunnels, walls, teleporters, springs, and then another one for the commonly used tokens from Fringe Underground expansion. And then other miscellaneous bits in here, which are the randomizer tokens from first edition. These will not be printed in second edition. Still useful to sort of figure out which heroes people want to play if you don't want to fight over them. And the first player token from first edition, which is a gold coin of Mayor Trixie. Also not going to be in second edition because we don't have rounds anymore, so we don't need to track rounds. So the other little thing here is a bit of a secret in this, and this may actually change. In fact, it probably will change because of the need to add, you know, both first and second edition content to the box. This is a sort of secret door here. Push it in, and then it slides out, and we have more space for the walls because there are 57 plastic walls in the wall and 3 tokens add-on. Basically, the idea there was I figured out, counted all of the walls on all of the scenarios, sort of boards together, and thought, what is the number of walls we need to cover basically any potential eventuality of people creating their own scenarios, and that was the number we came up with. It may end up that if you want to make something truly epic and huge, that you would need 2 sets, but that's really a fringe case. Anyway, that's a fun little thing, but this may change in terms of the actual storage allocation. In fact, the entire sort of layout of the interior of this thing is subject to some change because we want to make sure we maximize the sort of storage that we get in the thing. But anyway, that's, I have this in here wrong, and I don't know how I have it in here wrong, but I didn't want to, there we go. I'm just gonna quickly put this away and sort it out on another date. I don't know if I'm missing any questions here. I'm used to doing video chats where I can actually hear other people talking, so this is unusual for me to have to read. But anyway, let's slot that away, put the boards away. But I mean, the people who, I knew that people would complain about the cost of this box, but rest assured, the profit margin is very low on this, even at the price that we're offering it. Just because it costs so much to make. And like things, comparing this to the Too Many Bones box, which is just basically printed press board. It's a fancy cardboard box, essentially. This is not that. This is, you know, real plywood. It takes quite a bit of work to assemble and produce this thing. And our cost on it is more than €200 per unit. So yeah, I mean, as profit margins go, it's actually quite low. Anyway, I didn't even know Burn Cycle is a real thing. Competing against Burn Cycle, Moonrakers, Company of Heroes, Silver Coin, Age of Monster Hunters, Quodd Heroes. Huh. Yeah, I mean, my objective is to not just fund. If we just hit our funding goal, or if it appears that we're going to only just reach the 142 Canadian funding goal, most likely we'll cancel and relaunch at a later date. But I've had some success with that in the past. It lets us sort of start off with much more momentum by bringing our backers in right away. But I'm thinking we're not going to need to do that. I feel like we'll build some momentum as people start to find this game. Yeah, going against the Chip Theory game, that's problematic. They make such great games. I've backed 2 or 3 of their projects in the past, so I won't be backing anything this time around. But yeah, I know that the Trove Chest isn't a cheap product, but it's a mass-produced product, and this just is not. I've seen the Trove Chest. It's definitely cool. It wowed me when I saw it. In fact, I think the day or the day after I posted pictures of this, the first version of this box, I heard about the Trove Chest. I think they were going live with that campaign, and I was like, wow, I guess I'm not the only one making a cube-shaped box. But again, they probably have economy of scale that I don't have. But this is not made in China. It has to be hand finished, you know, with real, you know, wood finish and all of that stuff. Theirs is produced in a factory. Anyway, it's not apples to apples. That's all I'm saying. Did I miss any other questions? I appreciate all of the positive comments. I think, you know, I'm happy with the way things are going for sure. I had hoped we would fund day one in the first few hours. That's what happened during our last campaign, but it's been quite some time since then, and I've been kind of silent on the communication with, you know, previous backers and stuff over the last little while, at least through official channels. Obviously active on the Quodd Heroes Facebook groups, the Quodd Heroes Society and other places, but not super active just because I'm busy with preparing for this campaign and doing client work in the board game world. Me too. Thanks for stopping by, Walter, and thanks for your support and tuning in for the Q&A. Happy to take any additional questions. I wish that we could screen share because I'd love to show you guys the tabletop simulator mod. I don't know, Danny, what you're up to tomorrow evening, but maybe we could do a live stream playthrough and tutorial. And if we record it, we can post it on the Kickstarter page, even better, so people get a real sense of how the game works. Yeah, I have not showed the page. I only have 2 painted samples, and so these aren't really representative of like necessarily the final product, but these were produced by Panda. We're actually not going to be working with Panda this time around, just from a cost standpoint, even though they were amazing during the first campaign. But they sent these samples during a couple of years ago, or a year or so ago, when we were first discussing doing painted minis. So these will actually be, I think we're going to go with a wash on top of the color paint, so they'll look much closer to what my renders are. And these were also done before I created the 3D renders, so the color scheme, you know, isn't necessarily going to match. Where with the new manufacturer, I'll be sending them, you know, sort of renders of each side, so they know kind of how the paint's going to look. But I still love the way these feel in the hand, and they're fun and very, very playable. So yeah. Yeah, they're pretty neat. Like when I first got them, I'm like, oh, that's amazing. These are the only 2 I have. They just asked me for 2 to choose, and actually I didn't choose these 2. Especially I didn't choose Pinky because at the time I thought we weren't going to bring Pinky back for the second campaign because we called him Kickstarter exclusive. But this is still a Kickstarter campaign, and so therefore he will remain, I suppose, Kickstarter exclusive. But because we needed to produce an upgrade kit for first edition, which obviously would have to include Pinky, it didn't make sense to not include him in second edition. So we'll be producing player boards and skill tiles just for an upgrade pack if we're not bringing the character back. Didn't make any sense. Plus, Pinky is really fun in second edition. I really love his new Q Power tiles. Is it Q Power, or I think Crystal Power tiles? Maybe Q Power. They're quite fun. In fact, that's a really fun addition to second edition as well. Is a number of the heroes have their own tokens that they place on the board when they activate an ability, and it's quite fun. Yeah, I think I asked for Texi. I wanted Zozo because I think Zozo is like a lot of people's favorite. He's pretty cool. But yeah, I got Pinky, and I think from the standpoint of factory painting, this one is simple because this is a one-piece mini. Might be it. I think this. No, this is 2-piece. It's weird actually how some of these. This actually might not be because it's a sample, but yeah, a lot of they don't look like they're 2 pieces, but it's actually when they build these things, they injection mold the 2 halves and then they kind of slide together. I only knew that because in one of the samples I got from Panda the first time around, like it wasn't glued or something, and I pulled it apart. I'm like, oh, cool! You could, you know, stick some secret treasure in there. Anyway, But I don't know if you guys want to keep doing these kinds of live streams. I would actually like maybe to switch to Zoom on future live streams and just post the, although I guess Zoom isn't really a live stream platform, but and post replays, because it's nice to see people and be able to interact, and that way I'm not missing comments or whatever. Texie really is my favorite hero. I'm not sure why. I mean, I just like her. The other, like one of the other things I want to try to figure out over the next few days. I mean, there's no reason not to do it. Everybody's asking, or a lot of people are asking for a pledge level that is essentially the hero pledge, but without the wooden insert, because they either have their own solution or they don't want it. Or we'll just plan on using the plastic insert that comes in the box, which, as good as we can make it, I think will still be inferior and probably not quite hold first and second edition together in the same box, because the box is already pretty tight. But possibly. But yeah, they don't necessarily want the wooden insert, and I get that. You can already just pledge for, you know, the base game or the upgrade pack or whatever, and then add the things you want as an add-on, but there's no sort of discount factor at all there. But so we probably will add those pledge levels. I just didn't want to have so many pledge levels. I already have more than I would like. It'd be nice to do a future campaign that doesn't have add-ons. I mean, add-ons are good and bad in different ways, but just something simple where you have like just a base game and a deluxe game, and that's it. It just keeps things simple, and you know, people aren't quite so confused sometimes, or you know, asking for customized bundles because there's nothing to bundle. Maybe the next game. Have a really fun game coming out next year, I'm hoping, and it won't have all of that stuff. Just one box, and it's going to be awesome. What else? I think, Danny, you've heard a little bit about it, but yeah, I don't want to spoil any of it yet. I think it's still too original of an idea to sort of let it sneak out into the world just yet. But yeah, I think it's going to blow people's minds. At least, I mean, I could be completely delusional, but who knows? I think it's going to be awesome. Just making sure I'm keeping up here. So I didn't see if you were. Oh yeah, you probably can't do tomorrow. I'll probably do a live stream tomorrow anyway on Tabletop Simulator. Maybe we can get a few people to hop on and learn how to play tomorrow, or something. I mean, I can always just do a tutorial session, even if no one else is going to play. One thing I do want to have is, you know, a standard walkthrough, like a how to play, and I can basically use a screen recorder and use Tabletop Simulator to record that. So people who are not familiar with the game, who aren't getting enough of an idea of what it's about through the Kickstarter page, to have, you know, what is it actually like to play. The problem is I don't actually have physical prototype copies of the game yet. So I couldn't get preview copies out to reviewers. I, you know, can't get playthroughs from people with a paper copy, but with luck, we can get some people on a stream during the campaign that will serve the same purpose. Yeah, I have a meeting, not a meeting, but I've got to probably call this live stream in the next little bit. Maybe we'll go till, what time is it? 10:37. maybe another 15 minutes or so, answer whatever questions anybody has left, and then I'll call it a night. Try to respond to a handful more comments on the Kickstarter page, and then get some sleep and start over tomorrow. Definitely appreciate everyone who's been part of the campaign so far, all of the questions. Danny, you've been amazing helping with that. Not helping, you've basically did all the work today on the comments thread and everywhere else, and it's amazing. Thank you, Joe. Joe Girl, a very good friend of mine, stopped by excuse me, around dinner time today and brought me a birthday dinner and some cake. And that's much appreciated. My kids who were with their mom today also stopped by, and or at least my daughter did. My son called and said, do you want me to come by? And I'm like, to be honest, let's do it later in the week, just so that I can breathe today. Basically, I wasn't done the project video until, I don't know, it's like 7:30, 8 o'clock, I think I posted it. Unfortunately, because to me, the first thing I look at a campaign is the project video, and I didn't have one ready, even though I was working for a long time on all of it. I wanted the project video to be different from what it ended up at this point, but I'm pretty happy with it. I think you get a sense of the nature of the game, how much fun it is, and the sort of silliness of the whole thing. So got a project video now, so that's great. And I do want to do a more thematic video as well. I have this great score, which you can actually hear a little bit behind the current project video, but it was really intended as the thematic video score, and it was, you know, custom made by a composer, friend of a friend, and he did an amazing job, and I kind of wanted to show it off. And if there really would be a stretch goal on this campaign, that's one of the things that I talked about, is doing a full, like, playthrough score for the game, because Jackson is his name, Jackson Selb, totally agreed. He's a, you know, reasonable cost, and did a great job on the bit that he did for me, that it would be fun to do like a whole, like, listen to it while you play Quodd Heroes sort of score. That would be sort of a free download for from the website, just to add some thematic fun to your games of Quodd Heroes. And I just love the idea of music made specifically for something that I made. That makes me happy just thinking about it. But anyway, yeah, so I will try to get sort of a more thematic video up on the site, because I think one of the things that a lot of people identify with in different games is sort of deeply thematic stuff. And there is definitely theme as part of Quodd Heroes, but it hasn't been the sort of driving force behind where the game has gone so far, outside of just sort of character development in terms of their abilities and that kind of thing. But like, there's no lore that's sort of out there right now, and I want to go further in that direction, especially for the next version. So I've got to sort of start moving that way. And I think what I'm going to do as the campaign goes on is maybe starting next week, is during updates each day, I'll feature a different character and, you know, sort of give a little backstory and bio on those, just to sort of add a little more, give people a little more in terms of what the world of Quodd Heroes is about. In fact, that was actually supposed to be part of the Kickstarter page, but at least in terms of, you know, character bios, but just didn't happen yet, or didn't happen to this point. I was just going to actually ask you guys a question. I mean, it's only, I think there are 7 of us watching, but one of the things that I mean, that's, you know, crowdfunding hallmark, I guess, is really the crowd aspect of it, and trying to sort of pull people together to sort of spread the word about a campaign, and I'm kind of running out of ideas in terms of places to talk about the game. I posted in some of the Facebook groups I'm a member of a couple of days ago announcing the launch. I haven't posted a like we are live sort of thing before, but I think we got a handful of people following the page through those Kickstarter posts. But I'm just trying to figure out other grassroots ways to sort of reach out to people to spread the word about what I think is a great game. But anyway, if at any time any of you guys have any ideas, feel free to send me a message through Kickstarter or Facebook, or post it in the comments. And I'm happy to act on stuff, anything that's going to help get people's eyes on it. Sorry, I'm squinting. I'm trying to read comments. All right, I'm thinking we're going to wind down soon, unless you guys have additional questions. There's actually one thing I wanted to talk about. I had it, and then I put it away. This little guy. So a couple of years back, when we first started planning the Kickstarter campaign, Rustin suggested the idea of sort of Quodd Heroes like stuffies as a stretch goal or an add-on sort of thing. And this was a sample that the folks at Longpack produced for us. And it's pretty fun. It's like a foam cube. It's not refined in terms of how the design I would like it to be, but it's modeled pretty strongly off of the Quodd Heroes sheep. But I had talked about or discussed, making this as an add-on. But I'm not sure we're going to do it for this campaign. Probably not. We're pretty late, but it's a strong possibility that it could end up as part of the pledge manager thing. See if anybody's interested in that kind of thing. But we had originally discussed doing like a whole series of heroes with this, and then that evolved into the idea of making a game out of these guys. In fact, we have Rustin designed a whole Quodd Heroes game that uses heroes that are bigger than this box. Essentially, they're kind of quite large, and you physically run around in real time and tumble these guys. And he play tested it with his kids before the pandemic, and it sounded like a ton of fun. And we looked into how to manufacture it and bring it to Kickstarter, and that's still a possibility. It's sort of a Quodd Heroes universe game, and a very different kind of fun. I mean, you could play it inside, but it really requires more space. And we originally discussed it as something where we're using really big cubes for demoing at conventions and stuff, like in the play halls, and to attract crowds. And I still kind of want to do that at some point. It'd be super fun. But yeah, we had a dexterity game in mind for these guys, or at least I did. I was like, well, because I had 2 of these, and just doing things like, okay, the challenge is to, yeah, exactly, throw burrito, but Quodd Heroes, where you're, for example, like throwing them to try to stack them on top of each other, and it's really hard, actually. So I haven't really spent a lot of time thinking about, what an actual game would look like with these guys, but it's definitely possible as a lighthearted kind of family or dexterity game. Who knows? Maybe I sell the stuffies as collectibles or whatever at conventions, and then make a game available for free for those who have them, print and play sort of deal. Anyway, I think I'm gonna wrap up. If you guys have any additional questions or whatever, feel free to shoot me an email or post in the comments, and I will be doing these kinds of live streams frequently throughout the campaign. I think sort of a hallmark for anybody who followed along with the first campaign, you'll know that I spent a lot of time live streaming and talking to people For me, Kickstarter is about community. It's not just a way to raise funds. It's a way to connect with people, right? I love this game. I truly believe in it, and you know, I want to share that excitement with people, and you know, get feedback that's going to help make the campaign better and the game better, and you know, sort of build a community around it. And if you aren't already familiar, we do have a community on Facebook called Quodd Heroes Society, which is pretty active. Lots of people posting, you know, questions and pictures of their painted minis and all sorts of stuff. So if you're not yet a member of the Quodd Heroes or the Quodd Heroes Society Facebook group, please hop on and check it out. Yeah, anyway, I'll be back for more of these, and hoping to do a bunch of you know, playthroughs with Tabletop Simulator and various other things during the campaign. I appreciate everyone who turned out. I will be saving this video so people can watch the replay if they like. And once again, thanks everyone for tuning in and for your support, especially to Danny and Joe Girl, who were super helpful today on the first day of launch, where I was pretty stressed out and busy. Having your help was immeasurably amazing. Thank you. Danny has a question. I have a question today from a backer about the logo. They wanted to know if stickers with the new logo would be a thing. Found with no authority, the upgrade pack might actually come in the same deluxe box. Stickers with the new logo. Oh, you mean like placing the sticker over top of the old logo on the box? Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be producing a sticker, but yeah, the second edition upgrade box, my initial plan, and like this is absolute transparent truth in the matter, which I hadn't necessarily intended to share, but the quote that I got from the manufacturer most recently accidentally had the same box dimensions as the actual deluxe edition game, which wasn't my intention. I intended to ship the upgrade pack in a box that fit the upgrade components to make it cheaper to ship, and for all kinds of other practical reasons, because you don't need a big box when you already have a big box for first edition. But there's a pretty good chance we're shipping the upgrade pack in a box that's the same size as the Quodd Heroes second edition deluxe edition box. So in all likelihood, it's just going to be a deluxe edition box with the plastic insert and components, just no minis or whatever. So you can just put your first edition stuff in the second edition box if you prefer the look of the new box versus the old one, and the new logo, which is obviously far superior to the old logo. I always hated the old logo, and I like the new one better. But yeah, hopefully that answers the question. So yeah, in all likelihood, it's going to ship in a box that's the same size. It's a stupid decision financially for me, because it costs more, especially to ship a bunch of air basically in a box. Really freight, like the cost to backers is the cost to backers. I want to keep it low, but it's backers are paying for the shipping, so it's not a huge concern. But I have to pay a massive freight bill to get these shipped overseas and stuff. So it does make sense for me to try to be economical in that regard. But I tend to make decisions for the wrong reasons. I make decisions for beautiful game with amazing components without thinking too much about those things, because ultimately those things like freight and all of that don't matter to the people who are playing the game. I want people to have something on their shelf that they're proud of, and so that's kind of that's where I'm working from. The business person in me probably wants to poke me once in a while and say, wake up and try to be slightly smarter and, you know, compromise, but maybe in time I'll learn. You didn't spoil anything, Danny. I think you and I had already discussed that a little bit, and maybe you're just remembering that bit of a discussion that we had regarding that box. But enough, like, it hadn't even occurred to me that I should make the plastic insert that ships with second edition come with the upgrade pack? Like, for whatever reason, it just didn't occur to me, because you're basically trying to stuff 2 different games in the same box, with a plastic insert that has limited, because of the nature of those things, you have to fold the edges up, and like it takes up extra room in the box. You can't fit as much in the box with one of those things as you could otherwise, or with a wooden insert, which is thin-walled and, you know, easier to fit stuff. But it's the right decision to make that insert fit both, if possible, at least with removing the duplicate content, because there will be some duplicated tokens like walls and that kind of thing. I'm going to minimize that as much as possible as a cost-saving effort, since I don't really want to produce duplicates in the upgrade pack. But yeah. All right. I think we'll call it a night, and I really appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll do this again. Thanks so much. Have a great night, guys. Bye.